Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived an orphan named Osaro. His parents had perished during a devastating flood, leaving him alone in the world. The villagers, though sympathetic, were wary of the boy. They believed he was cursed, for he had survived when everyone else had perished. Osaro grew up in the village orphanage, where the other children teased him mercilessly. They called him names like flood survival and avoided him like the plague. Regardless of their cruelty, Osaro remained strong. He spent his days helping the elderly, tending to the animals, and dreaming of a better life. One day, a kind old man named Mr. Oyi and his wife, Mrs. Edame, visited the village. Mr. Oyi was a successful businessman who had once been an orphan himself, and the wife also a successful businesswoman. Mr. Oyi saw something special in Osaro's eyes, the same fire that had driven him to succeed against all odds. They took Osaro in, providing him with food, shelter, and an education. Osaro worked tirelessly for Mr. Oye, learning the ins and outs of business. He absorbed knowledge like a sponge, determined to prove himself. But when he returned to the village during breaks, the villagers still rejected him. They whispered behind his back, saying he was a traitor for leaving their humble abode. Years passed, and Osaro transformed into a confident young man. Mr. Uyi entrusted him with important tasks, and Osaro excelled. He traveled the world, negotiating deals and building connections. Yet, deep down, he still longed for acceptance from his people. One day, news reached Osaro that the village faced a severe drought. Crops withered, and the villagers were desperate. Osaro knew he had to help. He returned carrying sacks of rice and water pumps. But when he arrived, the villagers ridiculed him. Why bother? They said. You are not one of us. Not discouraged, Osaro worked tirelessly. He taught the villagers how to use the water pumps, distributed food, and planted drought resistant crops. Slowly, their skepticism turned into gratitude. Osaro's persistence had paid off, and the village flourished once more. Word of Osaro's success reached Mr. Oyi, who beamed with pride. Osaro continued to split his time between the city and the village. He built schools, hospitals, and bridges. The villagers no longer saw him as a cursed survivor. They saw him as their savior. Osaro had transformed their lives, and in so doing, he found the acceptance he had always craved. And so, the orphan who was once rejected became a beacon of hope, a man who turned adversity into opportunity. Osaro's legacy lived on, not in the words he amassed, but in the hearts of the people he had uplifted.